fall of this administration.
What I think is interesting about this case, this story, is you can be highly legal and
There's quite a story unfolding in the small town of Dalton, Illinois. Picture this: on one side you have Trustee Kiana Beller, and on the other Mayor Tiffany Henyard. These two local leaders are caught up in what's become the talk of the town. What started as a typical small-town disagreement has turned into something much bigger. The whole situation has gotten pretty intense, with both sides not holding back in sharing their views. You know how small towns are, everyone's talking about it. The main issue? It all comes down to being open and honest with the public. Trustee Beller has been pushing hard for more transparency from Mayor Henyard's office. She wants answers about how things are being run, and she's not backing down. These days, town board meetings have gotten pretty heated. Instead of the usual quiet gatherings, they've turned into lively debates that have got the whole community buzzing with opinions and taking sides.
In a room filled with curiosity and concern, Tiffany Henyard addressed her constituents.
The Thornton Township Supervisor and Dalton Mayor invited the community to Township Talk, where she responded to our report about her use of the Township credit card by mentioning.
Let's talk about Trustee Kiana Beller. She's made quite a name for herself in Dalton by not being afraid to speak her mind, especially when it comes to the town's money. She's been raising red flags about some unusual spending patterns and her main concern: Mayor Tiffany Henyard's rather unique way of running things. The accusations against Mayor Henyard are pretty serious. People are saying she's not handling the town's money properly, spending too much, and here's the interesting part: possibly avoiding keeping proper records on purpose. It makes you wonder, are these leaders really looking out for the townspeople, or is this just political games? When confronted about all this, Mayor Henyard pushed back hard. She insisted everything was by the book and within budget, brushing off Beller's concerns as just stirring up unnecessary trouble. The mayor suggested these issues should have been handled privately, which, as many people noted, seemed to be her usual way of dealing with disagreements. But Trustee Beller wasn't about to back down. She made a powerful point that really struck a chord with everyone in the room: these conversations about public money need to happen out in the open, not behind closed doors. It's our job as trustees to ask the tough questions, she declared, reminding everyone that they're there to keep things honest and above board. You could feel the energy shift in the room when Beller spoke. People started nodding and whispering in agreement, and the tension in the air just kept building. It was clear that many residents shared Beller's concerns about keeping their local government open and accountable. This showdown over spending isn't a one-time thing for Mayor Henyard. She's got quite a history that's raising eyebrows around town. We're talking about unexplained purchases worth tens of thousands, fancy trips paid for by taxpayers, and a pattern of approving expenses without proper checks and balances. Making matters even more serious, there's now a federal investigation looking into her office. What really gets people talking is how Mayor Henyard handles criticism. Instead of addressing concerns directly, she tends to take it personally. In one memorable meeting, she even compared herself to Jesus Christ, saying they talked about Jesus Christ. Why wouldn't I think they're going to do me the same way? It was quite a moment that left many townspeople shaking their heads. But here's the real issue that's got everyone worried: how the town's money is being managed. Take the recent budget meeting, for example. Trustee Beller was practically at her wit's end when she revealed that the trustees got the budget documents at 3:26 p.m. on the same day they were supposed to vote on them. Residents haven't even been able to look at it, she pointed out, clearly frustrated. She asked for a detailed breakdown of spending, the kind of information that used to be standard practice in previous years. But instead of addressing these very real concerns, Mayor Henyard seemed more interested in rushing the process along. For many Dalton residents watching all this unfold, the message was clear: transparency might not be as important to their local government as it should be. The whole situation has left many people wondering, what else might they not be seeing?
community concerns in Thornton Township and a push to regulate what some call out-of-control spending by Township Supervisor and Dalton.
There's an interesting twist in this story that old-timers in Dalton politics can't help but notice. Back when Henyard was a trustee herself, she was known as quite the detail detective. She'd go through the budget with a fine-tooth comb, questioning every little thing that didn't add up. Remember the time she fought to keep the tree trimming budget intact? "I understand we're doing cuts," she had said, "but I get a ton of complaints about trees. I think that amount should stay where it's at." She even pushed for more money for tree care. That's how detailed she used to get. Fast forward to today, and it's like watching a completely different person. That sharp eye for detail? Gone. The careful questioning? Vanished. The irony isn't lost on anyone who's been watching Dalton politics over the years. Talk about a complete turnaround. But wait, it gets even more interesting. During the same meeting, the town's credit card drama took center stage. While the finance director claimed the cards had been canceled last year, Trustee Beller wasn't buying it. She raised a pretty good point. If the cards were canceled, why are there still electronic warrant lists showing charges? Things got really heated when Mayor Henyard accused Beller and another trustee of hijacking the village's bank accounts. But Beller came prepared. She pulled out emails from the bank showing it was actually Henyard's team, not the trustees, who had account access. It was another moment where facts seemed to cut through the confusion, showing that maybe all this drama and misdirection was serving someone's interests, and that someone appeared to be Mayor Henyard.
There were many tense moments in tonight's meeting. At times, Supervisor Tiffany Henyard took on her fellow trustees when it came to money and expenses, even accusing some of those.
The tension between Mayor Henyard and her fellow town leaders has become impossible to ignore. While Trustee Beller and other board members keep pushing for openness and teamwork, Henyard seems to be going in the opposite direction. She often reminds everyone in no uncertain terms that she's in charge of day-to-day operations, a power move that isn't sitting well with many, but her strong-arm approach is backfiring. Instead of looking like a strong leader, Henyard is coming across as someone more interested in building her own power than helping Dalton's residents. And speaking of residents, they're not staying quiet anymore. Take Daryl Lean, a local resident who didn't mince words. The real business isn't being done because of all this nonsense. We need action, somebody who's actually going to work for the people, not themselves. Ouch. The stakes couldn't be higher. Dalton is millions of dollars in the red, and Henyard's critics say her leadership style is only making things worse. They point to her expensive habits and her inability to work with the board as major problems. And as the town's financial troubles keep growing, more and more people are joining the chorus calling for real change. The message from the community is becoming crystal clear. They want less drama and more actual progress in fixing the town's The irony in Dalton couldn't be more striking. Mayor Henyard, who once championed transparency and careful oversight, now seems to be running from it at every turn. Meanwhile, Trustee Beller has emerged as the new voice of accountability, though it's come at a price. She's become a target of Henyard's attempts to paint her as a troublemaker who's breaking down board unity. But if you look closely at these two leaders, they represent two very different futures for Dalton. Beller's fighting to rebuild trust and bring back accountability, while Henyard seems focused on keeping her grip on power even as criticism piles up. It's like watching two captains trying to steer the same ship in opposite directions. For the people of Dalton, this isn't just another political squabble, it's become a full-blown leadership crisis. Their town meetings have turned into something that could rival any reality TV show, complete with dramatic confrontations and shocking revelations. But unlike reality TV, the stakes here are very real. The deeper issues bubbling up are serious, seemingly unchecked power, questions about where the money's going, and a power struggle that's taking over everything. What started as regular town business has turned into a saga that keeps getting more intense with each new meeting. And here's the kicker: just when everyone thinks things can't get any messier in Dalton, they somehow do. The battle between Beller and Henyard isn't just about two people anymore, it's become a symbol of everything that's gone wrong in local politics. The big question now isn't who's going to win their next showdown, but whether Dalton can pull itself together and move forward, or if it's stuck in this cycle of drama and dysfunction. One thing's for sure: this story is far from over. And given how things have been going, you can bet the next chapter will be just as dramatic as the last. Picture this scene from a recent Dalton showdown. What should have been a simple matter of trustees reviewing payroll reports turned into quite the dramatic revelation. Trustee Kiana Beller and her colleague Jason House dropped a bombshell: they'd been blocked from seeing basic financial documents they needed to do their jobs. According to Beller, they kept hitting the same wall, the finance department saying they needed Mayor Henyard's permission to release anything. "We've been asking for months," Beller explained, clearly fed up. "How can we make decisions for this village if we can't see where the money's going?" When confronted, Mayor Henyard went into full denial mode. "I have never told anyone not to share payroll reports," she insisted, sounding exasperated. "Why would I need to approve something like that? That's just not true." But here's where it gets good. Beller came ready for this fight. She pulled out emails proving the finance director had specifically mentioned the mayor's instructions as the reason for keeping these reports under wraps. The room fell dead silent. You could practically feel everyone's jaws dropping. Henyard's response? She tried to play it off as a simple misunderstanding, claiming her finance team must have gotten their wires crossed about her instructions. Pretty convenient explanation, wouldn't you say? This whole scene perfectly captures what's been happening in Dalton, one side armed with evidence, the other side with excuses, and residents left wondering what else they're not being told about their town's finances.
The general election ballot, despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is
Supervisor Tiffany Henyard is finding a way to spend money that trustees say they intentionally did not approve. One described
one of the most recognizable faces that's been on the news lately, talking about the mayor of Dalton, Tiffany Henyard.
and all of social media.
Yes. A little bit of both. Wow. Let's talk about the title of this, because it's called Super Mayor, and that is what Tiffany Henyard calls herself.
surprised you how much the viewership has gravitated